I'm Christy. Today I want to talk to you about home sweet home with your loved one. So the first option for living arrangements is continuing on as things are by keeping your loved one at home with you. Simple, straightforward. As I've talked to parents, I've discovered that this is the option that many parents or caregivers choose. I'd even go so far as to say it's the most common option that I've come across. But I've also gotten the impression that it's the only option that most of these parents have considered. I get it. It's a known quantity. It maintains the status quo. And it doesn't rock the boat, something that is incredibly important for many of our loved ones with special needs. It takes a lot of energy and time to research and look into other alternatives, time that we don't necessarily have easily available. It's simple, until it's not. But we'll get there in a minute. Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of another family I know personally who has considered anything other than keeping their loved one home with them. I think the greatest advantage to keeping your loved one at home is that everyone is comfortable with the situation. Like I said, it's a known quantity. It simplifies so many aspects of life. Everyone already knows the expectations. Routines are already established. Life simply continues on as usual. No interruptions necessary, nothing new to learn. But I'm not sure that people stop to think through some of the disadvantages of keeping their loved ones home with them. Here's a few that come to mind. I'll go into more detail on each one in the following of the list. 1. Our loved ones aren't challenged to continue to grow and develop new skills. 2. Keeping your loved ones at home does not mean that no future plans need to be made. 3. Similarly, it also means that should an emergency occur that prevents you from caring for your loved one, their life is suddenly thrown into chaos. And finally, I think that in many cases, our loved ones are prevented from reaching their fullest potential by living with us indefinitely. So, developing new skills. Okay, so this could be a non-issue if you work consistently with your loved one on this specific area and seek to develop new skills with them. However, many times this can become more a struggle or even a battle rather than a positive, especially since I found that most people tend to learn better from people not directly related to or living with them. A personal experience has taught me that, at least with AJ, he fights me when I push him to learn new skills. He's smart enough to know that he likes doing things the way we've done them in the past. This means that teaching him new skills is a challenge at best and can become a battle at worst. On the other hand, if I have someone else work with him on learning new skills, he's quite open and receptive to learning them. To me, it's much better to have someone else teach him these new skills and then to work to reinforce them at home. At least as much as he's willing to cooperate with me on that area. Again, there are times that he fights because it goes against the routines that we've established here in our house. Now, as far as future planning goes, alternate arrangements still need to be put in place for once you are no longer able to care for your loved one. Now, while it may delay the necessity of such plans, it does not remove the need. Unless you can guarantee that your loved one will no longer require you to care for them at some future point in time, and you can guarantee that you'll be fully capable of caring for them up until that point, I believe that you'd be foolish not to make some kind of plan. And I don't know that anyone can guarantee that those two things will fall into place. Therefore, I believe that plans need to be established to care for your loved one. Admittedly, I've been lax in doing this myself, and I've been fortunate that nothing has happened in the meantime. However, this is one area that I would strongly advise you to do what I say, and not what I've done. Or maybe I should put it this way. Learn from my mistake and put plans in place as soon as you can. The likelihood is that at some future point in time, you will be unable to care for your loved one. While the reasons will vary, the end result will be the same. What will happen to your loved one then? Now, if heaven forbid some emergency happens and you're suddenly no longer able to care for your loved one, their life will implode. Everything they have ever known and made them feel safe is suddenly gone. Yes, I realize this is an extreme case, but it is a possibility. I think this is one of the biggest motivators for me to find some place for AJ to live away from us. The thought of throwing his entire world into chaos stops me in my tracks. I'd never choose to do that to him. And yet, if I don't get him moved out, that's exactly what I will do to him. Yes, I need to be smart about it, but it keeps driving me forward in my quest to find a stable, encouraging place for him to live away from me. Now, reaching their fullest potential, I think this one kind of goes along with all the others. But I also think that it needs to be specifically pointed out. I believe it's difficult in most cases for our loved ones to reach their fullest potential if they live with us for their entire lives. Rarely is family the best motivator to stretch and reach for new insights. Now, I feel I do need to pause here and say that these considerations assume that your loved one is on the higher functioning end of the spectrum and is capable of successfully living apart from you if the right supports are in place. There are plenty of individuals who require more care, and some that require nearly constant care. Finding alternative placements for them is considerably more difficult and significantly more expensive. While I can't speak with authority in these cases because that's not my personal experience, know that I acknowledge that these situations exist. However, I'd also challenge you to consider what I'm saying here. I believe that at least some of the considerations I've pointed out in this post still apply to your situation. The details and exactly how these considerations apply will vary from situation to situation, but that doesn't mean that they can be dismissed or ignored. Okay, carefully stepping off that soapbox now, we'll move on. Next week, we'll take a look at a slight tweak to living at home, living with other family members. I truly hope that this has given you a few things to think about. It may well be that living with you is the best solution for your loved one. If so, great. I'm so glad that you found a workable solution. Alternatively, though, I hope that you'll begin thinking through the points that I've made here and consider the possibility that something else may be better for your loved one. Keep an open mind. Be open to new possibilities. Regardless of what you decide, my hope is that you will make a conscious decision. Don't just let life drift along and go with the flow. Once you've made your decision, step out with confidence, knowing that you've done your best. Also remember that all decisions can be modified or changed if the situation changes. Nothing is permanent, and at least for me, that's a great relief to my mind. So my question for you this week is this. Do you think that living at home with you is the best alternative for your loved one? Why or why not? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. That's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in April of 2021. I'm considering all of my options for AJ, including staying home here with us, so that I can continue to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.